This is my RPG collection. And this is Tezzy looking for attention. She's the princess. Yeah, she had ear issues. And so I'm 60 years old, 60, and I got these, and I got that as in 8th grade. Well, the original, the 1980s version, as graduating from 8th grade, and I got this in like between 83 and 85 before the box set came out. And then I bought the box set. Eventually bought World of Greyhawk and Fighting in Skies. So this and this and this I got while I was living in Victoria, Texas. Everything else I got after moving to San Antonio. So, pre-86, post-86. So, yeah. My RPGs is, well, 1980. I got this in 1980. And then my mom was going to, I graduated from 8th grade. My brother was held back in 7th grade. Mom was promised to game master us. She never did. She cut out the game master section. Now this is, I'm talking about the 1980s edition version of this book. This is the 1981 edition. We got this. We missed GenCon 1980 by between 1 and 3 days. So Mom cut this entire section out. Well, maybe not the entire section. She cut out a portion of this. And so when we got in 1982, my brother and I got tired of waiting for Mom game mastering us. So we got this stuff back. And then we got a braided folder. Ripped out the braids from the braided folder and put everything back together. Between 84 and 86, I created a Hugh Dolphin class, which basically combined all of the classes together to create a godlike class, basically, a deity class. And then I put it in the braided folder, and it was written in pencil. Between 83 and 86, I bought this, and then this came out later, so I bought this set. I don't really play with this set. I've read through it. I did play with the basic a little bit, this version, to see what it's like because of the other rules. But so as a soloist, I have a lot of options as a solo RPGer. I really like this for world creation. Dungeons and Dragons. This version of Dungeons and Dragons and this version, and AD&D. I put my AD&D collection away. Yeah, also AD&D is part of my 1983-86 collections. 83, I bought all the hardback books between 83 and 89 before AD&D second edition came out. So I use this to learn about AD&D, to understand AD&D. I use AD&D to understand this. There are significant differences. This is what I consider this a kiddie version of AD&D, and AD&D being an adult version of this. Similar to the way I view RuneScape as a kiddie version of World of Warcraft, and World of Warcraft being an adult version of RuneScape. Let's see here. So I recently tried to create a game campaign with basic rules, and what I tried to do is I list all the monsters by hit dice. I've done this back in 84, 86. I had a complete list of all the monsters from under hit 1. Okay. There we go. So I made a list of under 1, 1, 1 plus, and all the way up to 36. There's a 36 creature, and I think that's the whale. Sperm whale is 36, and there's a dragon turtle that's at level 30. So I went and made a list. I went through all of these two books and made it. So I made it under one list for basic rules, and then under one list for expert rules, level 1 hit dice. And so some monsters, for example, antelopes, you have variable hit dice variable from 1 to 4. So there'll be the antelopes will be listed and level 1 listing, the level 2 listing, level 3 listing, and level 4 listing. Same thing with the NPC parties. Okay, you got the AD&D NPC parties. They want multiple listings. The NPC parties and the basic rules, they're the same thing. Yeah, right there. So they say party for the basic rules, and the parties, IES, for the expert rules, to show that there's a difference. On my list, it's all the same. The mechanics are slightly different, but because you're dealing with level 5 and higher, so I made it. So for a level 1 character, for a scratch design character, I created a list for under 1 monsters for basic rules. Excuse me. And under 1 monsters, hit dice monsters for expert rules. Then level 1 basic rules monsters, and then level 1 hit dice monsters. Hit dice plus 1, actually it's not level 1, it's hit dice. Hit dice plus 1, 1 plus, correction. For basic, and hit dice 1 plus for expert. And then I went and I open up the book, basic rules, first creature that came out. That was under 1 was the normal bat. So I looked at the normal bat. You have nocturnal. They are nocturnal creatures, and they live in caves and abandoned buildings. So I decided to make a list of all nocturnal creatures. So I went through basic and expert, listing all the nocturnal creatures, and by alphabetical order. This is the list I came up with. So from there, I decided to make a monster list detailing the specifications of these monsters, basically the environment they live in, if they're nocturnal, and their social interactions with other monsters, how they relate to other monsters. For example, white apes are not intelligent. They are kept as pets by Neanderthals. They live in caves. They're nocturnal. They look for fruits and vegetables at night. They will threaten creatures if their lures are approached. If their threats are ignored, then they will attack. Otherwise, they won't attack. That's a specific behavior towards all creatures. So I listed that there. Then you have a normal bat. They're nocturnal. They live in caves or in abandoned buildings. They do not attack men, but may confuse men by flying around their heads. So that's their behavior patterns. And then they also, part of their behavior pattern is they have to check morale every round, unless they are controlled by somebody. There are spells and magic items that can allow players, characters, and non-player characters to control bats. And then you have the vampire who also controls bats. Can control bats. And then because giant bats are nocturnal, I listed them also. Caves and abandoned buildings. They're carnivorous. May attack party if extremely hungry. Maybe a group of giant vampire bats. Undead created by a vampire may be a vampire. In basic rules, it said it assumes that this is not being used with expert, but if it's being used, it could be a vampire. So, but what I'm doing with this campaign is basically the way this is designed is this is for dungeons only. Level 1 through level 3 characters are going through dungeons and buildings and castles. That's where their adventures are. And then level 4 and higher, beginning to expert, your adventures are primary wilderness adventures. In basic, you do have some wilderness adventure experience encounters, because you're going from your base town to the cave system, so there is some encounters, but it's assumed that it's maybe a 1 or 2 hour trip to the cave from the town, and so it's the wilderness encounters in basic is minimal. With expert, you're really going from town to town, region to region, so you're doing more wilderness stuff and less cave crawling stuff. So this is good for basic adventures, and this is good for creating wilderness adventures. And so these two I grouped these two together to create my game world. And that's what this process is about. So I made the list here. I went through all the lists, and then after doing that, I went through and made another monster list. Not this one. Well, I also went. Well, I made a list of all the monsters that was mentioned, and this monster list featuring the undead. I did nocturnal list. So I list this additional monsters based on what was listed in these descriptions, and then I went and I created an orc tribe, chaotic leaders for orcs. Made that list. Made this data. So first I described what the orcs were like, how they described the orcs in the basic, and then from there it's okay. Your basic group orc, your basic orc group that's being hired out would be led by leader who is 1+, hired 1+ HD, and then the tribe orc leaders. Then you have we have HD 5+ for orc tribe. So the orc tribe is being hired out to the chaotic leader. That the chaotic leader needs to be leader 5 or higher, 5+ leadership. So for orc group leadership list, I went through the basic rules and expert rules and came up with these. And then I went for the orc tribe leadership. I went through the basic rules and expert rules. And the only thing that I found was expert rules monsters for the orc tribe leadership. So then, going through this, I made so I went through all these guys. I made an additional list for monster list, and then I came up with realization that I needed to make some humans. I need to make a list of humans, and I need to make a list of undead. And I said, okay, I'm getting rid of scatterbrained here. So I decided, okay, I need to focus in on what I'm trying to do here. So I came up with my game campaign parameters. And so I was asking questions like, okay, what game system I'm using? The Dungeons & Dragons RPG, the Red Book rules, which is the 1980s. Well, I call it the 1980s because I got this from GenCon. Not this particular book, but the original purchase, and this is it got stolen, so this is a replacement thing to the 1980 publication that I had. So I'm the basic rules, and I listed as the Red Book rules 1980 because these are also known as Red Book rules. Then you have, because at that time there was a thing known as the Blue Book rules. Oh, here it is, and this is the Blue Book rules. Now I bought this around 2000 in the 1990s or 2000s for collective purposes only. So this is basically AD&D basic. This is the basic version for AD&D. It's basically AD&D rules, but for level 1 through level 3. So that's the main. So this is basically for AD&D. And so this is different from that and this. Two different game systems. the red book rules is different from the AD&D, and the box set is different from. These two are basically the same thing. This has been edited a little bit, so some of the monster descriptions are different. The module is different. This system is the sample dungeon and the rulebook is different from in there is different from what's in here. And then so there's some changes. So I went. I'm playing. Okay, I'm creating a campaign. That's basically. So what I'm doing here is this is going to be. This game world will be used for group play gaming and solo play gaming. That's how I'm looking at this campaign. What I'm doing here. It's a new campaign world setting, which is Game Master, Dungeon Master created. I say Game Master these days because I do all of these. Traveler uses the term referee. Everybody else uses Game Master. Firefly uses the term storyteller, director, or something like that. This is Firefly RPG terminology is based on the multimedia, TV series, theater, movie production terminologies. So you got scripts, you're using the term scripts for storylines. You're using the term seasons, episodes, stuff like that. This is a new campaign. I'm just going to stretch design the game world. I'm not going to be using any. I have modules. I'm not sure whether they're part in that cabinet that's where located in that RPG cabinet shelf. I haven't looked at those modules, but I'm not going to be using any published modules for this game world. I'm creating a new player character. Character is level 1. There's going to be no experience points. So level 1 characters are going to be encountering the adventure. The first adventure is going to be based on under 1 hit dice monster, 1 hit dice monster, 1 plus hit dice monsters as the primary adventure storyline monsters. Other monsters are going to be secondary or supplemental. So any player character class can be played. Any number of players can be played. It's also going to be for solo play, which means I'm going to be doing myself. I have nobody to RPG with, so the group play is kind of not there, but it'll be available if I do find people to RPG with. This campaign will be available for group play. No published modules, storylines. The purpose of this is I'm going to try to at least attempt 1 solo adventure game session. That's what this is all about. And then I came to realization. So I said, okay, what are the game world parameters? Game world parameters can be depending on the game system. A traveler. Your game world is parsecs. Supplement. Patreon bonds, mercenary tickets. That's not. Okay, this is ammo encounter sheet for the planet. Then you have world terrain for the planet. Then you have your world map. You have your sector maps. And then you have your, there's your sector map, and then your sector map data. So this is your mapping forms. So this is your this is your subsector. Planets for the subsector. Then this is your sector data. This is your world data. This is your world map. And this is more, that's world terrain data information. This is your animal encounter data information. So that's, yeah. Then with DC Heroes, the idea is you have a hero city. You can player's manual, powers and skills, game master's manual, and then your Raven. So the idea with the game world, so you have with that's motivations. That's okay. You have villain motivations, and then for player characters, you have hero motivations. There's that. You have hero motivations. Let's see here. Okay, so that was Gotham. Okay, then you have the vegan system, and then you have Star City, you have Gotham, Central City, and this is Titan's Tower. And then you have Star Labs. So the hero system says you can use your own city as representative for your hero town, or you can do whatever you want with that. So what do I have? And then with Battletech, the original Battletech box got destroyed, and so this is second edition Battletech. The star, okay, so that is the game world for, you have We got the Bandit Kingdoms, which is in the periphery. This is second edition. This is pre-clan history. So you're talking about the... So let's see if like the quarter does a better job. Actually, it should be up front. Let's see here. The Exodus. The Succession Wars. So, let's see here. So with this, with Mech Warrior, you create a unit. You have multiple player characters. You got a Mech Warrior, you got a Mech Tech, you have a Scout, an Aerial. A Scout is basically a ground pounder as an infantryman with no mech. Then you would have an aerospace pilot, and you would have an aerospace tech. And so that you can engage in different aspects of the mech unit. And so I'm trying to figure out where the... So you got the periphery. The clans are beyond the periphery. I'm trying to see if they have a... Oh, here we are. That's the Battletech universe in second edition. The current edition, there's maybe 3 or 4 houses now. The first edition, I think, had 7 houses. If you're going by the, if you're reading the history of the background history of the game systems. So, and then Hero System does not have a universe in itself. You create your own universe. Then the FIREFLY, that's the TV series universe. So, and you got this is felt cover, so this is I really don't want to crack this series, open up the series too much. I'll rag it out. You see how my stuff gets ragged out. Cats destroyed this. Tezzy laid on this box while I was in my bedroom and destroyed this box a couple months ago. So, on my RPG stuff is really some of my even some of my AD&D is really ragged out. This box is ragged. Like I said, the Battletech box got destroyed. I don't mess with this rulebook. I just bought it for a collection because back in the 1980s they were talking about the red book rules and the blue book rules, and that's the only reason I brought this out. So, as an RPGer, what do I want to do? I'm not really interested in, as a player character, as a player of sword and sword, being a magic user, an elf, or a human magic user, human thief, or human fighter, or any of the AD&D classes. I'm not interested in being any elves, dwarves, halflings. AD&D allows you to be half orcs and other stuff too. I'm not interested in that. Doing that for outer space sci-fi. I am in. My brother and I purchased Traveler because it allowed us to custom design our spaceship designs, and I created a Star Child series, which is based on the World War II A-10 Havoc, the A-10 Havoc, the A-25 Invader. No. A-10, A-20, A-25. Not the A-10. A-10 is a Warthog. A-20 Havoc, B-25 Mitchell, A-25 Invader, the B-26 Marauder. So I was not aware of this at the time. I bought the box set. The box got destroyed a long time ago, and then got stolen. It's just so with this, you could create a spaceship. No, wrong book. So you're able to create various different. You can create a spaceship design. So I did a 200-ton free trader, which was multi-engine. So I created a multi-drive rules for this game system. So I created various different versions of Star Child. And so this was back in 95 and 86. I created a multi-drive programs so you can operate the ship. Basically, let's see here, where's the data chart? Yeah, so basically what I did was jump drive A, two type A's. You can get a jump C capability. The mass, in order to get that's jump drive. For maneuver drive, in order to get a type B, you need to have 3 type A's to get a type B maneuver drive. You want a power plant, you need to have 2 type A's to get a type B power plant performance. Or you need to have 3 type A's to get a type C. You need 4 times 4 is 16. Get a type E for power plants. Then 2 17s. At 14 you get a type D. 7 times 4 you would get a 4 type B's. We can get a type J performance. But really, on this, the way I did the multi-drives, it only really works for 100-ton scouts and 200-ton free traders. I tried to do a 400-ton subsidized merchant, and it was like, nope. So what they did here with the ship design rules, I've already played with this. I don't have any experience with this ship design rules, but I think it's much better than what I was doing with the multi-drive. Let's see here. So for Battletech, if I was to RPG Battletech, I'd be focused in on the Corn World Society. Earth Human, the Corn Worlders are a group of Earth humans, Lunar humans, and Mars humans who did not want to be part of the Earth human societal structure anymore, because the Earth human societal structure is war-based, and the Corn Worlders are environmentalists, basically. And so they want a society that's not war-based, so they said we have to, in order to do that, we have to get away from human society altogether. So they took their ships, they got a colony ship or more, I'm not sure, and then they took off and want nothing to do with Earth humans. And that happened during the Exodus, and then because of the Mythic Warrior, they eventually, the Earth Human Society found the Corn World star system, and so the Corn World decided to kick them out, and so that's the storyline that I'm using there. And that storyline is created specifically because I have my own mech designs that I created, and my own mech unit design theories, and that's what the storyline is about, is how I do my mech designs, my ground units and stuff like that. For comic book superheroes, I have several different character concepts. You have in here space suits. Let's see here. There was I came across a space combat armor. Well, you got a space suit, they call it vac suits. There we go. Got a vac suit and it got combat armor, which is based. Let's see here. This describes. Oh, it might be in the other section. Oh, battle dress. There we go. Combat armor vac suit. Combat armor is a complete vac suit-like array of metal and synthetics. It's strictly military and not available to open market. It's basically a space. It's a war for Space Marine armor. Battle dress is the ultimate individual protection. it's a powered version of combat. Okay, yeah. So that actually a battle dress would be the power armor of the Space Marines, and the Adeptus Sororitas. So this is back in '85. Robotech came out, and I really loved those Veritech fighters. So, well, I came up with the idea that my sci-fi character would research and develop the create a Veritech fighter type vehicle by using a robot, a human-sized robot, to verify the mechanics of the transformation mechanics. And the way he did that was via creating an armor suit, and then and using it, and then go from there. The character became a female. It was one of my first female characters, RPG characters. So she is she's a science and technology personnel, but she's not really into combat. She's just a tech wizard. My play group between 1983 and 1986. Some of the guys had Gamma World. Some of the guys had Star Trek role-playing game. Some of them had Marvel Superheroes, the first edition with the 10 combat books. Yeah, I played with that version. I had 3 different Marvel characters. One of them was a high-tech wizard. I said I want him to be a kid, designing his own thing. They had a module. And so Doc Ock, they created there was an adventure that was designed to take out Tony Stark's Iron Man uniform. I commandeered that and got destroyed. So my character owed Tony Stark mega bucks. That was one of my 3 characters. So then I moved to San Antonio. I revised him for the high-tech for DC Heroes. Eventually, I was introduced in 1995. I was introduced to him. So and my Marvel superhero character was called Mr. Roboto because the Police song Mr. Roboto was out at that time. And so that's where I got that character concept from. And so the Mr. Roboto has gone through various different phases, the DC phase and the Hero System phase. Some, like I said, my female side type transferred from Traveler to DC Heroes, and then went into the Hero System. So she goes through various different names. She had multiple different names. So this is So one of the things I want to do with Firefly is a spacecraft design. I'm the creator of the Flower Child Project Man spacecraft design concept, and I would like to use Firefly RPG and Hero System to represent the creation process, a fictionalized version of the creation process of this creating a custom designed spacecraft storyline. And then I'm 60 years old. I am Generation X, and I am X-rated, so I do have some X-rated storyline concepts that I'm interested in playing with, and using the FIREFLY for that. And so then there's some. I have a hero system, DC hero. Well, first it was DC, and then him was an AD&D. Was a variation of my D&D character. So he's basically a modern day sword and sorcery guy, but he's based on the Dungeons and Dragons magic user fighter combination concept, but he's a modern day superhero, comic book superhero. What do I want to do? What story do I want to play with? It fluctuates, and I can't get anything started. So I don't know where to go from there. So all of my RPG activities is basically dead in the water. What I need to do, so I have basically with this, I have abandoned this process. Currently I'm creating a monster list. So I have a nocturnal monster. This nocturnal, then the monster list, then I created an army doing this section here, then an additional. This is, I'm abandoning this. I'm just making monster lists. So I got the hit dice that I'm going to stick with for the basic venture. I'm still keeping this. I'm going to abandon this section here and just focus in on classifying monsters, like the human monsters are in here. These human monsters are just basic normal humans, and then different classifications they have there. Humans would not be, they also would include lycanthropes, because the lycanthropes, some lycanthropes will live within the human community, hiding themselves as, hiding their wear side of them. Undead are not part of human society, so they have their own list. Humanoids have their own thing. You've got the dwarves, elves, and halflings, and then the other creatures that are common for the humans. So I made a human list. I made an insectoid, which is your beetles, your spiders, and the scorpions would be. I put them on scorpions on there. There's going to be additional lists that I'm going to be making that I need to make, and to help me decide how I'm going to populate the game world. So next is worms, which would include one of the things I'm going to be doing is worms. So worms would be dealing with caecilias, and leeches. I think I might put them in leeches in there. Although I might make a waterborne creature list, monster list, which will go in there. the purple worms. Yeah, so yeah, the purple worm, Cecilius, and then you have the crawlers like the carrion crawler, the giant centipedes. That's another category I'm going to be making. I'm thinking making a bird list, and then making a flying creature list. The flying creature list would include wyverns, dragons. The bird list would include sturges, rocks, hawks. Bats would be in the wing list, although I may have the dragons being separate altogether. The dragon list would be by itself, I think, because they deserve their own. They get mentioned, they get upgraded in the companion and the master rules. So you got the dragons here. Wait a minute. Did they change that? Excuse me. No, okay. So yeah, they didn't do any changes there. So the dragons, they got these are small dragons. Medium dragons, large dragons. So yeah, small dragons, medium dragons, and large dragons. So the dragons would get their own category, I think. So there's a bunch of monster lists that I need to create before I can actually start doing creating a game world setting. So back in 1986, well, first of all, and back in 1984, I created the Coin World campaign, which is the 1980s basic rules, and then the Ancient Earth campaign, which is the AD&D campaign, which is in the book, which has been put away. They are parallel universes, game worlds. Basically, I was going to do this. Then from there, I was going to upgrade. I was going to create this game world. Then I was going to upgrade it with that, but that didn't happen. My life's been too unstable to do anything with that. Then I moved to San Antonio in '86. Well, while I was in Victoria, Texas, in '85 and '86, I got Traveler, I got Star Frontiers, and so I was entertaining the idea. I was more like fantasizing about having a game world setting where you had the RPG world, and then you had the sci-fi world, and then maybe some other tech worlds within the same campaign world setting. Back in those days, I did not trust meta genres like Hero System, Palladium. There's another one I can't think of that was as big as Palladium, but I can't think of it now. Back in the 80s and 90s. I bought the Robotech, the Palladium's Robotech, first publication. They since then updated that, revised that game system altogether. Battletech was did some copyright infringements on the Robotech franchise, and that was mentioned in the second edition books. But yeah, so the My brain's going bye-bye. I lose track nowadays a lot. So I'm at the Korean War campaign. So when I moved to San Antonio, I've got DC Heroes for the role playing. I'm a DC guy, not a Marvel guy. When it comes to comic book reading comic books. I found DC to be too simplified, but it covered a lot. So, and then I got Mech Warrior. Then I got the Battletech universe because Mecha. I thought Battletech was Robotech. That's why I bought it. Then I read the book. Oh, this is not Robotech at all. And then eventually Robotech came out. Palladium came out with Robotech, so I bought Robotech. But with this, you can custom design your own mecha, which is yeah. I like designing my own stuff. I do not want to take an existing vehicle and then make modifications. I want to scratch design stuff. Rules that allow me to do that, I will play with. Rules that do not, Star Trek, RPG does not, so no Star Trek. Plus, I was not interested in RPG in the Star Trek universe. The Star Trek universe is already explored. I want to be in an unexplored universe when it comes to outer space sci-fi. So Traveler, the Traveler series was very, I had all the Traveler series from 1983. So I got Mega Traveler, Traveler Twilight, and there's another one, I think. Traveler 2300. Then that got stolen. But I can't, I can't create my campaign worlds. I need to create a campaign world, and I'm not interested in what the RPG modules dishing out as far as storylines are concerned. I'm not really into combat that much. I'm more into environmental exploration, which is what D&D will allow me to do once I get myself a campaign world set up. But as you see, I need all kinds of paperwork that I need to get done before I can even think about making an adventure module. So, yeah, even with the DC heroes, I get a character. What am I going to do with that? Now, DC is interesting. Oops, I broke the. There we go. You have subplots. Okay, you have. With the player characters, you have. Okay, you have motivations. So when you design a character, you can you got character sheet designs. And excuse me, I need to get liquids on me. So you create a character. That's an example of a character sheet. And so you can choose your points. You have character points to play with. And then you go through characters. You got hero points to play with. You have limitations, attribute limitations. So you got various action. Got fears, irrational attraction, power limitations. Sensory limitations, you got vulnerabilities, and then you have background information, your race, you have wealth, and then you have your occupation and connections, and then you have your attributes, skills, and costs that you can level up. And this is the table for doing that. You're basically unlimited. I think you go up to 100 on this game system. Then if you get minus 200, you're atomized. There's non-existent. There's no healing at all. You can link powers. You got the Batman option. They eventually came out with a Batman role-playing game to deal with this. Then you have subplots. Creating a subplot, so pulling the plug. So you got a secret past, death, guilt, enemies, family, friends, job, power to complication, public reputation, romance, secret identity, miscellaneous. So you have a lot to work with as far as trying to come up with a storyline for what your character can do. You can create a character, and then you say, okay, here's the storyline you want to do with the character. Now, the way DC does things is the player creates a character. The game master uses an existing villain or creates a villain, and then the game master decides what the villain's going to do, and he looks at the character sheets and he listens to the player's character design, and he basically decides, okay, he tries to determine based on how the player created a player character, what the player's options are, what the players can do, how the players are going to react, how the player characters are going to react, what actions they may take if they succeed and if they fail, and how the villain will succeed and fail on the encounter. And so the game master creates a series of scenes, a collection of scenes that are determined, how the storyline is going to play out. For example, in the Titan Nevermore. Okay, yeah, it's showing BBC. The players, okay, for example, you use these characters here. With this, you're in the Teen Tower. You get a call. You go to the Star Lab. They're talking about a chip being stolen. They try to figure out who did what. There is an encounter. Here's a Batman storyline. This was a Adam West Batman storyline. I don't know if this was in a comic book. I think this was a comic book, but with the Adam West, Robin was in it. In the original comic book storyline, if there was an original comic book storyline that predated the Adam West storyline, the Batman may have been solitary, but within the Joker made the Riddler bombed the museum. Batman was assigned to the museum to check it out for things. Batman finds the bomb. If he does not find the bomb, it goes off. Then if the Batman finds the thing, finds the bomb, he disarms the bomb, and he finds the Riddler tape. If he does not find the bomb, it goes off, and the Riddler tape gets played. So you had scenarios like that, and then you have a scenario where a Batman tries to solve the riddle, and then so there is a scroll, an ancient scroll that the reader one gets to have. Like I said, this was an Adam West storyline, and so you can that's how the DC works with Dungeons and Dragons. You really are doing the environmental thing. Okay, you're traveling in the wilderness. Okay, you don't have that. And with the expert rules, you're traveling in the wilderness. So you go from point A to point B, whatever. That's your primary traveling method, and you have one encounters. And the basic rules, you're doing the same thing. You have a case, you're going through the dungeon, you're wandering through, trying to find things, and so you're basically wandering around. And then you're countering things as you go. And then this is what it looks like here. So you start out, and then you come down here and get, so there's a lot of things going on here. So that's what D&D is. You have an environment. The game master has an environment that you're involved in, and then the players interact with that environment. That's how Dungeons & Dragons work. So okay, the box went over there. And with Firefly, you have scenes, the same thing, you have scenes that are tied together. You got triggers and stuff for the scenes, hooks, plot hooks and stuff involved in the scenes to get the players to do stuff. This would actually help break my writer's block, but this is felt tip. All this is felt tip. I don't want to break that. You know, if this was a regular book cover, I would have no problem breaking it. If it was, like this, these would be ragged out. This would be in the same condition these would be in the same condition as my basic rules, not as my City Tech, Battletech rulebook, all torn apart. Like that. It'll be like this. Also, what happened is somebody, a dog or a cat, got into that. So I can no longer do 4th edition. I have to play with 5th edition. If I want to do a hero system. Basically, I don't use the hero system. Let me see here. Here we go. I do not use 5th edition tables. I'm just going to do it like this so you can get a better look. I use the 4th edition tables for your system. Fifth edition basically did what expanded the way I did this. But the main difference is the hero points per level is significantly less. So when it got to the Monty Hall classifications, you really each class is overpowered the previous levels, and I treat these as character levels within the hero system. These are basically character levels. You start up, so then I expanded this. There might be another list somewhere. But I modified it a little bit. And so but I treat these as character levels. And not as because you gain experience, and within hero system you do gain experience, and with that you can also beef up your bonuses and stuff. And I got that from the D&D. You don't have character levels per se, and you don't have character levels, but your skills and attributes can level up. You can increase your abilities within the hero system. So you don't have actual leveling going on, but your character do level up. FIREFLY has a leveling system. It's different from what the D&D and hero system is. I mean DC. The leveling system would be comparable to the hero system. How do the leveling system within the hero system? So these two would be similar as far as when it comes to character leveling. Mechanic. There's different, but they're comparable. So that's my problem. Creating a game world environment for my characters to come to play in. And so that's why I cannot RPG. But there is a system, and I play a variety of different genres, and so I have a wide variety of character design concepts, but I'm not really into the sword and sorcery character gameplay as much as I used to be. I'm not interested in the genre as a game system, but I like the hero system, the Dungeons and Dragons for world generation. It's the best available. I have Alternity RPG, which is Firefly, which the same game mechanic. Firefly uses the same mechanics, dice roll mechanics as Alternity. Hero System has the same mechanics as GURPS. I looked at GURPS. Somebody introduced me to GURPS. I looked at it. Oh, this is Hero System, but it's on a simplified. It was much more simplified. Traveler looks like Star Trek role-playing game and Traveler are similar to each other. It's just, that's that.